Hey, ladies and gentlemen, how are you? We can know the origin of the liberal part movement because it is the longest running since 1848, written by Mr. Ezequiel Rojas, whose last name has quite a lot of sonorous power. Yes, since it's related to a Colombian dictator such as Gustavo Rojas Pinilla. But at the same time, it has a very emblematic name, man. You know, Ezekiel, evangelical name. Name evangelical. And the last name Rojas, like a Gustavo Rojas Pinilla. So it was characterized by the political names in Colombia. Yes, characteristic by what is was a year before written the liberal program before Mr. wrote the program of the conservative movement. Can we say that the origin of the liberal movement has to do with the region in Antioquia? Well, with the Paisas business and coffee business, but without a doubt, yes, because this would bring clarity between those who are liberals or conservatives. Well, we have that Mr. Lopez, like Pollo Lopez, a politic name, politic last name Lopez Pumarejo Lopez Michelsen. Yes, like political names. The son, as you know, Lopez Michelsen, son of a president, also would be the driving force, as they would call him, that would boost the political career of Álvaro Uribe Vélez. Álvaro Uribe Vélez, yes. Okay. Centralism and the idea of equality between the legal profile and political profile, and in addition to promoting the economic forces in the face of the oppression of the state that was oppressive, and with its oppressions did not allow the capitalist economic forces to prosper. So this comes from the English philosophy of the 17th and 18th with classical liberalism presented by Mr. Adam Smith, who, as a professor at the University of Oxford and Glasgow, also wrote books that would talk about the economic philosophy in politics. But the great of all was Thomas Hobbes, who introduced to the theories of economic policy the idea of contractual theory, the basic of the law. All right, yes. So we have Mr. Alfonso Lopez Pumarejo. Yes, come on. Who in the 30s became important because his government was in the year 1934 and 1938. Just after the economic crisis, there was a liberal hegemony of 16 years, lasting until 1946. In this first stage of government, López Pumarejo would be president, but everything was being woven so that the New Deal would arrive in Colombia after the 1930s with the alleged formation of labor unions and equality between workers and the nobility. Likewise, Francis Roosevelt would bring us issues of religious freedom with his New Deal. On the other hand, the German Otto von Bismarck would bring important influence in the law sistema de derecho in the company of German architects who would build in the city of Bogota. You know, the architects who built the University Citadel of the National Universidad de la Nacional since 1939. As the structure of the buildings were designed, the idea also arrived of the unions, and they would be seen in the territory of the university. At the time, there were also cases of exhumation of land, expropriation of land, to give it to the state. Okay, Mr. Lopez Pumarejo, being president in his first stage in the year 1934 and 1938, was also founded of the Free University. His son, Lopez Michelsen, would be president also, yes, in the year 1978, and sorry, 1974, 1978. Just 30 years later, he would also become he would also become rector of the University Libre. The latter more driven, no, latter more driven by the coast and would influence the creation of vallenato festivals. Yes, the son, after having the name of President Alfonso López Michelsen, thought about creating a rebel movement with which he could confront the National Front, Frente Nacional. López Michelsen began as a councillor for Envigado, as he would be with another great conservative candidate, Álvaro Gómez. Yes, his father, Laureano Gómez, who was having a great success until his life was cut short in a candidacy for the presidency when he was competing against the current president of the Liberal Party, Cesar Gaviria. Oh, really? Oh, it's nice. Okay. Again, the origin of the movement of Colombia, the liberal politic movement, liberal, we have that the characteristic were definitely important, starting with the fact that the writer was Ezequiel Rojas, whose last name would be related with the dictator Gustavo Rojas Pinilla. Why? Yes, Rojas, who arrived in the 757 with the idea of bipartisan government in the National Front, Frente Nacional. They had Gustavo Rojas, who would be a civil engineer who would build the 26th Street, Calle 26, the 26th Street Road, and also the airport El Dorado, among others. Okay, the founder would write the program a year before his opponent, conservative opponent, who would do so the following year. There would be more heroic characters of the quality of Francisco de Paula Santander, who, in his time, fought against the force of centralism, which would later promote federalism. Within the ranks of Francisco Paula would be Obando, Yes, Mr. Obando, who would support the ranks of his general. Then the times would become when Rafael Uribe, whose name ended up being a town in the southern city, since this was a lawyer who, in the company of Benjamin Herrera, from his liberal position, would be asking for the presence of the church, and likewise, like Benjamin Herrera, who will also form a coalition with conservative college to get the jobs. Yes, like Thomas Cipriano de Mosquera, too. He would also be a great character who would receive the support of the opposition, of the conservatives, to achieve his goals, his political goals. Thomas Cipriano was the one who beheaded Mariano Ospina. This being a conservative academic businessman, since Thomas removed his from power and remained in power when the 30s arrived, faced with the economic crisis, Thomas Cipriano would overthrow Mariano Ospina, and at the moment would come 16 years of liberal hegemony. After this stage of the 30s, the years would come when 1936 Mr. Jorge Eliezer Gaitan would be the mayor. Yes, who being the mayor would be thinking a lot about the culture of the city and the less favored citizens. Yes, such which is as it happened that as a mayor he held the first book fair in Bogota. Then, as a minister of education, he held the first national meeting of artists. Yes, in his government as mayor, he would be doing social work, creating community soap kitchen, giving shoes to students, formalizing the job of shoe shiner with a uniform, just like with takes taxi drivers. I would set up a fare control for taxi drivers, which would be controlled by the mayor directly. The taxi drivers were not going to like this, so they would go on strikes and stop age on the road, motivated by President Lopez Pomarejo. Okay, after supporting a conservative candidate, after having studied at the university in Rome, learning Mussolini's speech, he received an awards from the Academy for its title Magna Cum Laude. Then thinking, as the Minister of Education and Labor, within the movement of Politica, there would be a division of two groups between liberal directors at the hand of President Turbay, from who another family triad emerged, ending with John Miguel Turbay grandson, today a senator, and so-called Gaitanistas, at the hands of a movement of his which he had created a year before called Unir. Then the day of death arrived. One day before he would win the lawsuit in the court as a criminal lawyer. Yes, he would show the way for Galan to arrive. After the shot received in the 9th of April, called Bogotazo, it was believed that they did not want socialism to come to power. There were riots of violence in Colombia, including demonstration of 5 war tanks that were entering the national capital, thinking about supporting the Gaitanistas. All right, it's a landscape of the political of Bogotazo.